what's going to happen to this capital raise or real estate in next 5 to 10 years, because it's going to be totally different ball game. The way I
Yeah, it
see
is.
it,
It's
it's
already
not going to be
changing.
nothing close to what we do today.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think all of the, there's a lot of work, capital raising and being in investor relations. It's a lot of work attracting people, then maintaining them, right, and keeping them, nurtured and engaged. And it's a lot of work. I see right now, I mean, we're using AI to do a lot of different stuff. It writes our content for us, right? It does workflows, right? Say, hey, I want to do this, that does that, and it just creates it. Awesome. So it's saving us a lot of time in that regard. And a lot of our written content and even our scripts that we have for our webinars and things like that. We very much believe in being very prepared. You're in the corporate world, right? You understand, when you come to a presentation, I just watched the one that you gave, you're so polished. And it's about, being professional, right? At the end of the day, fun is great, but being professional, and that takes practice. But I see AI really, just changing things so dramatically, taking all that hard work out of our way. I can literally just say, hey, I want to do this. Create me
I,
this for my webinar, blah, 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 right?
yeah.
But one thing that we can never lose is the personal connection.
This is the Real Estate Vibe Show, and I'm your host, Vinki Loomba. As a real estate investor and a fund manager, I'm always excited to explore the world of real estate opportunities with you and for you. And today, I have my good friend, Johannes Krumlet, with me. Welcome, Johannes, to the Real Estate Vibe Show.
Thank you so much, Vinky. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Likewise, I'm super excited to hear about your journey and a little bit about Johannes. He's a CEO and founder of Krumlet Capital and GoRaise.ai. I love to hear more about that because I'm like a AI fan.
Nice.
And Johannes brings around, I think, 25 years of expertise in real estate, sales, marketing, and technology, with a track record of acquiring and disposing of over 1.5 billion with a B in commercial real estate and personally raising 300 million. Johannes has revolutionized investor relations by equipping professionals to raise over 100 million in just 48 hours. Oh my God, 100 million in 48 hours. That's amazing. Welcome again to the show. And I'm super excited for our topic today because we all know capital raising is the lifeblood of real estate. It's how
Right.
professionals, fund managers fund their projects, scale businesses, and create wealth. But it's more than just securing funds. It's about building trust, forging strong relationships with investors, and creating long-term success. We are always looking to level up and learn new skills. And I just feel like every day, if I didn't learn something new, that day is wasted. So for me, learning is a must. And that's the reason today we're going to dive in and Johannes's experience to find out how he has mastered it and what we can learn from him today. So topic for today is fast track capital raising tools and strategies for aspiring professionals. So Johannes, let's start with the first question. Can you share your journey into real estate and what inspired you to found Krumlet Capital and GoRaise.ai?
Yes, of course. My professional career has always been spent in real estate. I started in investment sales with Marcus and Millichap, and I worked for some really great developers building apartment buildings all throughout the Midwest. And then now, obviously, we're in the syndication business and working with partners to acquire the best, most attractive assets and the most desirable neighborhoods. And we formed Kremlin Capital really out of a desire to get time and financial freedom. And we started off like everyone else, even though I had all this great experience in the multifamily space, doing houses, single family homes. Quickly realized, right, that it was going to be very difficult to scale. That's when we found the power of collective investing and working with others. And ever since we found that, that's just been our lifeblood. So Kremlin Capital is really focused on helping, us busy professionals and rapidly growing their wealth by investing in institutional grade assets. It's been around since almost 2018. So we're hitting that 6-year mark coming up. Ooh, I think we just hit it. Oh my gosh, time flies.
Wow. And then your track record is really impressive. I just read that you have raised $300 million. And what was the timeline for that for 300 million?
Yeah, so as a syndicator, a fund manager, right, we've raised about 100 million total, but 300 million over my professional career. So I had the opportunity to work with a lot of institutional investors, insurance companies, pension funds. They're the biggest buyers of these deals, and they passively invest often. So then I also worked for Governor Schwarzenegger when he was running for governor in California, and I raised plenty of money for him. So I work with both institutional and retail investors, and that's how I've been able to get to that large sum.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that you mentioned in your bio was like raising 100 million in 48 hours, and you're helping people to do that. So what drives your passion for empowering, aspiring, I would say, capital raisers to raise that kind of amount?
Yeah, and it was just over 100 million in 48 months and hours, but
I was like, oh my God, this is like super crazy data for me, 48
like
hours,
I have to
100
understand
million.
how you did this, Johannes. Please tell me. Yeah, so that's my biggest accomplishment is helping aspiring capital raisers build their own networks so they can develop their own funds. They can have a real impact on their lives and the people that they're partnering with, as well as their investors. And that's why we created Go Raise AI. It was really born out of a need to really we were struggling ourselves to kind of get the right systems and tools in place. And it was very expensive, and no one really focused on capital raising, focused on acquisitions or a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But no one just, hey, how do I quickly get started? How do I rapidly go from 0 to 100? We said, hey, we need to help young people or people who are just starting out to get those tools because, as you said, capital is the leverage point for everything that we do. These syndications or these collective investments, right? They're opening up a whole new market. So how do people rapidly position themselves as a professional and build trust, right? As you mentioned, to develop lasting relationships. And it really boils down to just having SOPs in place, having the right assets, right? Having someone guide you through that process. And to make it really cost effective. And so they can go out there and start doing what they need to do and hopefully partner with us or partner with other people in their ecosystem, in our ecosystem, to bring capital, right? To bring value. So it's born out of a need. And now we have all these great capital raisers in our community.
So this GoRaise.ai, is this the same mentorship program that you have, the capital raising quick start program? Is it like the
Yep.
same thing or is it like something different?
It's two things. It consists both of the software, right? The tools that you need, all the things that you need for automation and AI, all the things that we know about funnels and email campaigns and templates and booking pages and all those things that you need all in one single platform. But then we go a little step further and say, hey, we're going to build out all these things for you, specifically what you're trying to do, which is raising capital. So we build out a platform for everybody, take all those great systems, organize them, brand it for our clients, make sure that it says their name and their brand and their colors, right? But then we go even a step further and say, now, how do you sequence this execution, right? You got this great webinar funnel and this great deal launching funnel and all these great funnels, which are really important. But now, when to use them, how to use them, what's the sequence? On top of that, we teach them how to build an audience, right? By doing a couple of things, right? Borrowing an audience from some people and then building their own audiences predominantly on social media. So it's the two is really unique in the marketplace. No one else is doing this where we don't give you templates. We give you an actual built out system, number one. Then we give you the mentorship and the guidance, right? To help you do that, as well as the blueprint, right? It's a 120-day blueprint of start here and get to here. A lot of people, they go in different directions, right? They don't have a clear path. So we give them that blueprint, if you will, so they can just really focus on what they need to do. Do A and B before you get to Z, right? A lot of shiny objects out there. It's easy to get distracted.
Yeah, you said it very well. There are a lot of shiny objects out there. So how do you differentiate yourself? Because a lot of people are providing similar kind of services or the tools to the capital raiser because capital raising is a hot commodity in today's date. I would say there's a lot of capital raiser. People are trying to, up their game and they're trying to use so many different portals, joining so many different mentorship programs. and people are using multiple CRMs as well. And being that said, that go high level is another big one that people are using it, and white labeling is because it comes with so many tools and techniques within itself. The platform is so powerful. So being in this age where this like information overload, or I would say tools and techniques are overloaded, how do you differentiate yourself, or what is your competitive edge?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is that a lot of people do what you just described. Here's a white label, here's this. It's just still a blank canvas, and there's really no guidance within that. Like I can give somebody templates, that's great, and then they can figure out what they need to figure out. Our goal is to, number one, you don't need to be a technical expert at all, right? You don't need to understand any of the technical stuff. You don't need to be a marketing person at all, right? You don't need to figure out what I need to do. We take all of that away. So anybody can jump in and immediately make an impact, right? So we're not just giving you the platform, we're giving you the pre-built systems. And then number two is obviously the guidance, right? The mentorship, step by step by step. So the program consists of four different sections. There's getting started, there's building your brand, becoming a thought leader, there's building an audience, there's borrowing an audience, then there's launching your deal. There's also a section on, dealing with investor calls. So it's meant to be progressive, and you use the tools, right, that we've built for you. You can just jump right in and start going. And that's a huge value because so many people are like, I did something once, I bought it and it was a bunch of templates, and I'm like, well, I don't really know how to use these, right? What do I do with this? When do I do that? When do I do this? So the good news is that, I've been in this real estate and raising capital for a long time. I've worked with some of the top people. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I worked for him for many years. He has a several billion-dollar portfolio. Jonathan Holtzman, I worked with all these big companies, and I understand there's a difference between capital raising and investor relations. There's a difference between raising capital and maintaining capital, right? There's all these things that people kind of don't know that I educate them on rapidly. I want them to spend their energy learning the business and how to structure their business, and then executing, not fumbling with technology or wondering how to market themselves. So that experience that I bring, right, I really want to help people so I can fuel the next generation of capital raisers. Am I explaining myself well?
I think you did. And I like you already, whatever you're sharing with us from your tool and techniques perspective, because
Yeah.
you're creating a competitive edge for yourself by, training people from A through Z. And then it's very important because that's going to help them to get to their what, wherever they want it to go. So I do have a follow-up question for you. You raised a couple good points there. You mentioned that a lot of people, they do capital raising, but it's very important for us to understand that the difference between the raising capital and the investor relations. So from your experience, since you are so well versed, you work with all these big shots in your lifetime and raise millions of dollars. If you can share share with us the difference between capital raising and maintaining investor relations.
Yeah, of course. And I love talking about this because, a great way to look at it is sales and account management. Okay, the capital raiser, the lead capital raiser, their job is to keep that pipeline full, right? They're always out there. They are selling. Well, I'll use the word selling here, but really they're developing relationships, right? But the job is to grow the database, grow the pipeline, get as many investors, get in front of as many investors as you possibly can, create that connection, develop that relationship, and then bring them into your fold. Once they're in your fold, right, in your database, that's when the investor relations personnel really comes in. Their job is to maintain the relationship, right, to nurture, to keep them happy, to keep them working together. So, I like to break down deals like this. A lot of people are out there when they first start, they're pitching the deal. They find a deal like, oh, I got this deal, but they're not building the relationship, right? That's the first key. You want to build a pipeline of potential investors and educate them, nurture them so that when a deal comes, they're ready, right? They've got the knowledge, they trust you. Buyers go through kind of a three phases. The awareness phase where they don't know, they have a problem, they don't even know about it. Wait, my retirement's going away, right? And then you realize that they have a solution, so they're becoming aware. Then there's the decision phase, right, where they're aware of you and they're saying, oh, do I want to work with you, right? I'm going to shop around a little bit and see what else is out there. And then lastly, there's the decision phase where now they decided, yes, I'm going to do investing in multifamily, but I'm going to see who's better than you. So that first stage, the attraction phase, that's the capital raiser's job. He's out there attracting people. He's creating engaging content. He's developing the relationship. But then once they get into the fold, right, and they get into that uh, decision phase, right, where they're deciding if they want to work with you, that's the investor relations job, right? They got to keep them connected, keep them going. But then when the deal comes, they both work together, right? The capital raiser now is on the front and he's leading these webinars and things like that. The investor relations folks are there for support. They do a lot of the follow-up work, right? Make sure the database is going good, all that stuff. So I like to think of it as sales and account management. They both need each other, but they work together often, but they have very different roles. One is fill the pipeline, one is maintain the pipeline. And then when it comes to closing, they both work together. Am I explaining that well?
Yes, you do. And I really like that. And I do have a follow-up question for you again.
Mhm.
You talk about the nurturing sequence, and which is very important, you know. So what exactly or how exactly one should figure out what the nurturing sequence should look like? Because the reason I'm saying this, it's an important question to understand that, because everybody's experience is different. Everybody's pattern is different. Everybody's learning style is different. And
That's right.
every investor is gonna, their perspective is different. They're gonna take things differently, whatever you're gonna share with them. It's like we all go to movies, everybody's gonna have a different story. They're gonna pick up something different and they're gonna just emphasize that. So how would you create a nurturing sequence that's just addressing all these at one point, like you're not having like 20 different nurturing sequence, or maybe you do have some kind of customization there that you can help us from your experience with?
Yeah, I think whenever you first meet, first engage a potential investor and they're just getting in, they're attracted to you, they engage one of your funnels or one of your systems, and now they're in your system. The very first thing you want to do is send them an indoctrination email campaign. And this is very important. And what you're doing in the indoctrination emails, you're just bringing them along to your way of thinking. But what's very important here is you're also introducing them to you and your value and who you are. This is not selling. Okay, this is just you educating them, developing a deeper connection. But this nurturing campaign has to happen. And it's very rapid. It's usually every other day, 10 or 12 emails. But it's just you slowly introducing bits of information about yourself. Hey, this is welcome to our family. This is who we are. This is our background. We both used to do this, that sort of thing. And then, hey, this is why we like multifamily. And then, hey, this is the markets that we like. And the content has to be engaging, educational, but engaging, but also very simple. Okay, they don't want to hear ARR, IRR, blah, 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 right? Nobody's like, what are you talking about? That's way too progressive. People make decisions to work with you using their, really in the first 10 minutes, but they're using what I call the croc brain, flight or flight. So this indoctrination campaign is just consistently giving them enough information so they can get to know you. It's not overwhelming. And you're just introducing themselves to you. It's very personal, little bit of information. Once they leave that, once they exit that campaign, we put them into what we call our monthly nurturing. And that's, again, more educational. It's really about our capital club or our investor club, and we give them monthly emails. And that's just set. So those are the same all the time. We update them regularly, but it's pretty the same. And the idea is that they're getting your system, they're learning about you, and they're just getting a little bit of information. Then we send them newsletters every single week, and we don't call it a newsletter, right? We make it something special. They're part of our special club, and they get exclusive treatment. But we're giving them information about us. We're giving them information about the market. We're inviting them to different events that we're doing. We do a lot of in-person networking events. We do stuff online. We have a webinar, things like that. And that's pretty much weekly. So, and then you can use that same content, on social media. You can do it on LinkedIn, all these different things. But that's the key is it's just like in football, right? The top football teams, the 49ers developed this a while back, and now everyone adopts it. They first come out, they run the same set of plays for the first, 20 minutes. And it'll be the whole season. Maybe they make adjustments, but they don't need to think about what they're going to say or what they're going to do. It's evergreen, right? And that's what I like to say, evergreen content. So that's my strategy. Evergreen content, indoctrination campaign, the same, educational emails, and then something new every week.
I like that because I think it's important, but it's like sometimes I think like it's more important than what we think. or the people who are trying to raise capital, they are, like you said earlier, they're always in the sales mode, or they're saying
Yep.
you gotta be better salesperson in order to raise more capital. And I think that, we gotta be on the other side of the table. We have to think from the investor's perspective, right? We are investors to ourselves, even though we raise capital and we do multiple deals, but at the same time, we invest ourselves too. So how do we perceive things when somebody brings it to us? How do we look
Yeah,
at the deal and how we just see how they're pitching it to us, right? So
that's right.
accordingly, we should tweak ourselves, like, we're like more like aligned with the investor than just showing them, okay, this is my vision, this is it, I'm stuck with this vision, that's how we're gonna do it. And that's not gonna gain much traction. You know what I'm saying?
That's-
And I don't
Yep.
know, that's my philosophy, and that's what you're talking about. And the other thing that you mentioned over here, I'm gonna ask you a question about is, professional pain points are very important, right? That's the reason they're gonna be looking for something other than their day-to-day routine kind of thing. So how are you incorporating that into your program so that makes you stand out, again, your competitive edge right there?
You're asking what are the pain points that I've dealt with that
Right.
have.
Yeah. Whatever you dealt with and how you have incorporated that into your mentorship program or into your program.
Yep, yep.
So that makes you stand out in the crowd.
Yeah, I think the first thing is I just realized that, you need to develop a relationship. People invest in people first. They invest in deals second, right? And this is very important because if you think about this just in life, imagine if you went on a date with this beautiful, you're a man and you go on a date with this beautiful woman for the first time, and you guys sit down for dinner and she says, well, this is what our wedding is going to be like, and this is what this is going to be like, and blah, 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 right? And she's planning your future and she's thinking about herself. And so, you really need to think about, hey, I want to build a relationship with this person. And when you're building a relationship, you have to put them first, right? You're
Us.
always giving before you get. That's super
Mhm.
important. Give, 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 give without any expectation, which is very difficult to do. But the key is to do this consistently and understand people's needs and where they're at, right? I don't want people investing on their last dollar with me, right? I want to make sure they're in a good financial position. I want to understand what their needs are. And then, right, we can figure out if the deal makes sense. So this idea of developing a relationship and building a connection with somebody on a personal level as well as a business level is something I think a lot of people miss. And it's so easy to do, but it's so critical. You know who's really good at it? People who work in restaurants. I have these guys that do a little bit of stuff for me, and they're all restaurant guys, and they're so service oriented, right?
Mhm.
And hey, how you doing? And they just think about these little
At
details.
ease.
That's,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. That's what they're forgetting is that connection. Like
Mhm.
I know, our people who invest with us, I'm horrible with names, but I'm great with faces and I'm great with the deals, right? I'm like, oh, that guy, this guy, his family, blah, blah, blah. It's important to me because managing their money is important to me, but also I want people to know that I care about them. And that's the same with the people in our program, right? This is not a money making thing I mean, it makes money, but that's not the goal, right? I really want people to be successful. I see them struggling. I see people fail. I see them get excited about a deal and then, realize, forget all the fundamentals. I see them struggling, only raising 100 grand. I see them doing these things. And so everyone who's in my program, they know that we will, do whatever it takes to make sure that they got the information that they're successful. That's the same mentality that we do with our investors. They know that I will do whatever it is to protect their money, right? It's in their brain. They understand that. That's the mentality that you have to have. People are giving you your money. It's a serious deal, right? It's
It
very
is.
important.
Mhm.
So it's this connection, this understanding people, this caring, this Tony Robbins says a great man. It's like this emotional connection that you have with people. That's the key. And people understand that's the key. You got to care. Then if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal, right? It's like, oh, Johannes, you made this issue. I apologize, right? And they're like, you know what? He's a great guy. We love him. He loves us. We can get past this, right? It's not just a business transaction. They're investing in you. They care about you. They trust you. That's what it's all about. And that is business 101. If you want to be a successful guy, care about people and put them first. That's super easy. Well, not easy to do, but and easy to remember.
That's true. No, I mean, whatever you said is really 100% correct. And I believe in that 100%, because when you put yourself into a relationship game versus transactional game, you're way ahead in the game already, because you have to empathize. By the end of the day, we are all human and we need that human touch. We know we need to have those trust relationship with people, that we can work together, we can collaborate together. And it's basically a collaboration when you're raising capital, because they're becoming your partner, even their silent partners or the limited partners, whatever way you wanted to categorize them. They're the partner, they're partnering with you, or they are your partner in a particular deal or investment. So that's the reason it's very, very important. But beside all that, I wanted to go way back when you first started raising capital. Let's hear about your story, learn from your experience. What was your first raise like? What was your pitch at that time? I know your pitch is going to be super polished now, but let's look at your first pitch and then you share with us how you pitch now.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so when I first started actually when I first started doing this, I was in investor relations for Brookfield Properties, right? And I saw the best capital raisers, and I was so jealous of these guys because they were so smooth. They were taking people out to dinner. They never even talked about business. That was so great. What was great about it? They'd come into our office, they'd have a conversation, blah 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 blah. We go talk, we eat. It was never business, right? Business was second. But then when it came time to the deal, we had a deal. I saw how they moved, and it was the conversations were very different, right? It wasn't me selling you. It was, hey, this is the deal. And let's talk about if this aligns with your thing. It was really answering questions. So what I learned from him was, if you set things up right, if you have the relationship and it's strong, the conversation when the deal comes is very short and is more them just verifying things, right? I learned that. Despite all that, when I first started raising capital for somebody else, I forgot all about that. I went out the window. And I started calling all my friends, right? Hey, John, guess what, man? Got this deal. We're going to make money. It's going to be awesome. And he's like, okay, yeah, sounds great. Okay, I'll call you back. And then never heard from him again. And these were all my buddies, right? I'm like, all my friends, I've been talking about this forever. We're going to do this. And no one moved forward. And it was because they didn't see me as this professional fund manager at this point. I didn't set myself up correctly. I didn't position myself correctly. It was all my secondary contacts that only saw me as this, that I was able to move quickly. But to your point, the pitch, I stopped talking about, the pitch was way before. And when we have the call, it was just validation. But when I first started, I was pitching the deal, and trying to sell them on all these great points, right? As opposed to, hey, we talked about this, here's the deal. Let's see if it aligns. Sound great. Oh, okay, good. Awesome. It worked with you. Fantastic. Completely different conversation than I got a deal, man. We're going to make some money. It's completely different. So that was the lesson learned, is don't sell the deal. Sell yourself first, and then your pitch will be awesome.
That's true. So what is your pitch now? Share with us. When you go talk to a new investor, how would you handle the first conversation?
Okay, good. I love you that you answered that. So I have this book called Pitch Anything that changed my life. It made me earn $1 million very, very quickly. And what you learn about pitching is that people make decisions in the first 10 minutes to work with you or not. I don't talk about myself a lot. I don't say a bunch of things about me. It's, hey, this is what I do, blah, 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 2 minutes. Then I talk about how my deal is unique because of the market conditions, because of technology, and because of what's happening from a financial perspective. Actually, it's social behavior, technology, and financial. So I look at every deal from that perspective, and I just talk about how my deal is different based on these things: the money, right? How people are moving, like their social behavior, maybe it's migration or something like that. And then I talk about technology and how that's making it readily available. Very short, 5 or 6 minutes. Then I go into, that's not just me framing the situation, right? It's me framing up the deal. This is who I am. This is why I'm coming to talk to you. It's about this deal. Now let's go into it. If it's a deal pitch, now let's ask some questions. And then it's a lot of question asking on my part. I just want to listen and hear what they're saying, right? Okay, good. Because the more I let them talk, the more information that I have so that I can sell them correctly. Does that make sense? So the more that they're talking, the more I can focus my questions, as opposed to me asking a bunch of questions trying to figure something out. Does that make sense? I ask them a question, let them talk, ask them another question, let them talk. Now I have the ammo to kind of squeeze them into saying yes. That's such a bad thing. Oh, I can't believe I said that. But you understand what I'm saying. the who talks the most loses.
I know, I heard that a long time back when I
Yeah.
was in school or college. I thought it used to be a girls thing, how I'm from India. So how people are in India, like a little bit, on the side of just like shy, especially for the girl side. And my mom used to say that the person who talks more always loses. Or even if when you start talking, if you're going to talk first, you're going to lose that. So you have to be very kind of, I'm going to use the word, it's not a right word, but submissive, kind of, kind of mellow a little bit. And I used to think
Yeah.
that this is the goals thing, why my mom is telling me all this thing to me all the time, not to my brother.
That's
But
right.
later on, I realized in my life, no, some aspects of this is really true and it works, whatever she was saying.
That's right. And people, they respond more to things that are exclusive. You can't get next to them. If you're too eager, right, that makes it seem like you're hungry. And that's why you keep that cool, calm, collective. You're always calm. You're there to help. If it makes sense, it doesn't. You're gonna have that sort of attitude and mentality. You let people tell you their stories. You frame a lot. So I frame things in a way so that they can quickly understand. But yeah, if you get too emotional, and I do this sometimes too, I get excited. And it was something I did when I was first starting. And I get really excited because I'm happy. But you got to kind of control that, right? And be able to, position yourself as the subject matter expert, as the leader, as they need you, right? As you're bringing the value, they need you. That's why the strategy of bringing value ahead of time and being sought after and looked at as the subject matter expert is so important, right? Developing your brand, having people see you this way, can constantly, your content is great. I see your social media stuff. It's really good. Now, LinkedIn is now prioritizing video over carousels, right? They brought that new TikTok feed in, which is great because now you can be really impactful and people can really get to know you and you can it's so easy. Here, let me record a video real quick, what I'm thinking about, right? As opposed to putting together this whole thing. But that's how you get that subject matter authority and you're putting these things out there. When people view you as that, it's so easy to have these. Look at Grant Cardone. I mean, this guy, he's just out there all the time putting content out. There's some great people just put content out. And then you engage in that. You're like, oh, I know this person. We've had people write us checks, Vinki, who we've never met, right? They were in that decision phase, right? Not the awareness or the consideration. They're in that decision phase, came across us, watched a bunch of our content, got super engaged, and then, wired us money. Never even met them,
Mhm.
never even talked to them. So I know I'm going on a little bit of tangent, but that's what it's about, right? Is like confidence, subject matter expert, being cool, not being, so needy, right? And just being consistent. That's what it's about.
That's so true. I like all those traits, whatever you shared, and especially being consistent and being
Yeah.
not needy. And then other thing you said very important was positioning yourself. Positioning yourself is very, very important. So creating that position in whether you use a buzz marketing, because I see buzz marketing works too, because a lot of people are using that. And then they have created this huge thought leadership platform for themselves, just using the buzz marketing, but they have positioned themselves so well day one that is working for them. And the other
Yeah.
thing I wanted to mention over here is because now technology is reshaping the world, especially with this AI thing. We are stepping into the world of infinite, right? No limitations, basically. So, what do you see? What's going to happen to this capital raise or real estate in next 5 to 10 years? Because it's going to be totally different ball game. The way I
Yeah,
see
it is.
it
It's
is
already
not going to be
changing.
nothing close to what we do today.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. I think all of the, there's a lot of work capital raising and being in investor relations. It's a lot of work attracting people, then maintaining them, right, and keeping them, nurtured and engaged, and it's a lot of work. I see right now, I mean, we're using AI to do a lot of different stuff. It writes our content for us, right? It does workflows, right? Say, hey, I want to do this, that does that, and it just creates it. Awesome. So it's saving us a lot of time in that regard and a lot of our written content and even our scripts that we have for our webinars and things like that. We very much believe in being very prepared. You're in the corporate world, right? You understand, when you come to a presentation, I just watched the one that you gave. You were so polished, and it's about being professional, right? At the end of the day, fun is great, but being professional, and that takes practice. But I see AI really, just changing things so dramatically, taking all that hard work out of our way. Like, I can literally just say, hey, I want to do this. Create me
Right?
this for my webinar, blah, 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 right?
Yeah,
But one thing that we can never lose is the personal connection, right?
so
And
true.
so we'll always need to, because in the day we're talking about large sums of money, and people, at the end of the day, it's always about the connection with somebody. There's people who I don't want to work with. I'll just tell you a story. I was, you we're doing a big podcast run, and I was connecting with this guy, and I was, we exchanged emails, and he was late for our call, like 20 minutes, and he didn't came on a half an hour later, and he's like, "I'm on." Never apologized, any of that stuff. And he said very simple, "Hey, I apologize. I went through something. Blah blah blah. I'd love to get you back on." Didn't do any of that stuff, right? And to me, I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you're not the person I wanna work with. I don't care if you have a bazillion people following you, right? It's the connection, right? Or can we align? Do we have similar value systems?" And that's super important. And people will always still make decisions about who they work with based off of that connection, especially when it comes to money. So while we may automate everything, we may have to do all these hard work so we can eliminate VAs and we can do all these things, right? Just by telling it what we want it to do. I really think that's where we're at. In 3 years, all the people that we have doing all this work, we're just going to say, hey, we want this to be done and I need this email and blah, blah, blah. It's just going to do it. You give us to it for approval. We'll be like, yes. But the connection piece where we're talking with people. That's what I want our students to do is just be talking. Don't spend any time thinking about technology. Don't spend any time thinking about how you're going to market yourself. Like all you want to do is focus on conversations. 90% of your activity should be talking with people, whether it's via video or directly talking with them. I never think that's going to go away because people just want to connect with you, right? People will give you money if they think that you're an awesome person and they don't have to worry about you, period. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, it does. And I love it how you explain it and go so much into depth. I like that. But I'm gonna differ a little bit over here. I used to think that too, like, I mean, still think that, human connection is like the key element in everything. But again, I would say, we cannot really peek into the future and the way that technology is evolving and the AI is reshaping the world. Like I mentioned, we are stepping into the world of infinite now. So who knows that people start trusting machine over human? Because there's a
Yeah,
room for human error, and there's always possibility. There's a emotion involved, there's change of mind involved, there's multiple things involved, but the machine's gonna be 100% set cookie cutters, right? So I
yeah.
wonder that might change the trajectory for the capital raiser games, in the future, but we do not know yet. So I'm going to leave
No,
it with
no.
that thought.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point
from,
though.
yeah, it
Quantum
might change. We do not
computing,
know.
quantum computing is changing like this every day.
Exactly.
It seems. So you're right. You never know.
You never know because we can peek into only future from with our current experiences or where we are in our life, right? I can give you example. I give this example multiple times, so I might have talked about this in multiple podcasts too. When I was young, I was a little girl. We used to have that dial phone. Remember the rotary kind of thing? And then you pick
Hmm.
up the receiver and used to hello kind of thing. And at that time, somebody told me one day we'll have a phone where we can just do the video call. We didn't even used to have a VCR at that time at our house. I was like, video call, and I used to wonder, where are we going to see
How did that
somebody over
happen?
here?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that this is going to exist someday. So that's
yeah,
how I see that, I think future is going to be totally different than what we see at this, time. But
yeah.
from our conversation, I'm going to ask you this question. What one piece of advice would you give it to the aspiring capital raisers to make their life a little bit better?
One piece. One. I
You
would
already
say.
said zillion things, but
I
one
know.
more.
I would say that, right now is the time to start laying the foundation for your business. So if you want to be a capital raiser, if that's what you want to do, you want to be a fund manager, you see that value, you understand money makes the world go round, it's the catalyst for it all. You see how it can, really impact your life and other people and your investors. This is the time now to start laying that foundation because it takes a little bit of time, number one, and we're deals are coming through right now, and you see a lot of these things that you thought were distressed or not, but this next 12 months is going to be some of the best buying opportunities, I think, of the
I
next of the
agree.
last 20, 30 years, even better maybe than 2008. And just because, right, there's been all this anticipation, it's been so volatile. And so now everyone's getting ready, people are poised, and it's going to be great buying opportunities. So you can either be on the sidelines or position yourself to have money and have relationships. So when that deal comes, right, you're prepared. And that's what it's about. Start building your database now. Start working on it now. Start taking it seriously now. Right now is the best. I was just sent out an email about the holidays is the best time to be raising capital. Why? Because people have a lot of discretionary income. They have, they're thinking through their taxes. They're doing all these things. So people sometimes decide they want to wait. Don't wait. Start
Yeah,
now. Opportunities are coming.
absolutely. I like that. Time is now, don't wait. I like that. So this brings us to our rapid fire round. We are way over time. I just love talking to you, but let's do a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you're going to answer it in 1 word or 1 sentence only. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So what is one of the most important thing that you have learned in your life, and how did your life change after learning it?
Ego is terrible, and I learned how to be grateful and prioritize others when I learned that.
I really like that. Ego is our personality, actually. And if you understand that, you are understanding yourself and you're figuring out who you really are beside that ego. And then being grateful in every situation is going to accelerate everything for you. Share one good book that you would like to recommend to my audience.
Oh, one good book would be, well, I'd say Pitch Anything. That book changed my life. I read it 20 years ago and immediately started making impact, lots of money. So it's basically about how to frame, how to understand it, get people to work with you, how to develop relationships. Game changer, easy read, Orland Clough.
Great. In 1 word, what does life mean to you?
Joy.
I like that.
Joy. Yes, I'm so happy.
That's good. There's only 3 things in life: love, happiness, and peace. That's it. Nothing more. That's all is made up. What is your biggest passion?
My biggest passion?
Uh-huh.
Oh, racing motorcycles.
Good. If you can turn back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you tell yourself and why?
Stay focused, be focused. And I would say that because focus is a direct result, is a direct indicator of your ability to achieve what you want to achieve, is focus. Stay focused. And if I'd done that earlier, I'd be even further than I am now. No regrets, but if that's the question, just focus. I lacked it when I was young.
I like that. How can people reach out to you?
Well, you can use this thing. Oh, no, this side. This thing. You can scan that. You can go to our website and you can go to the Quick Start program. And there's a thing to book a call there. And it'll be with either Lisa or myself. We're very busy, so we don't have lots of time, but we always put out about 5 slots a week to just talk with people. And whether you're interested in the program or not, it's just great to go through that. Or you can also follow us on LinkedIn, or you can follow us on Facebook, and it's goraiseai.com, or Johannes Kramlet. So easy to remember.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I like that. Thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your expertise. And for our listeners, if you want to learn more about GoRaise.ai, reach out to Johannes, and he has tons of knowledge that he can share with you. And as always, thank you for tuning into the Real Estate Vibe podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone eager to elevate their real estate investing journey. We'll be back next week with more valuable insights. Until next time, stay focused, stay inspired, and keep building that real estate vibe. Thanks again, Johannes. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So great.